The salvage ship Scrap Hunter drifted through the cosmic graveyard known as the Void Sector, its hull scarred from countless expeditions into forgotten battlefields. Captain Vex Thornspike, a massive brutarian with tusks that gleamed under the ship's dim lighting, studied the sensor readings with growing excitement. By the 7 moons of Krathak, he rumbled, his voice like grinding stone. Look at the size of that thing. Dr. Kira Nexus, the expedition's lead xenoarchaeologist, glided closer to the viewing port on her 4 graceful legs. Her crystalline skin caught the starlight, casting rainbow patterns across the bridge. The Zephyrian's large, multifaceted eyes widened as she processed what lay before them. "It's impossible," she whispered, her melodic voice carrying notes of wonder and fear. No ship was ever built that large. The energy requirements alone would bankrupt a dozen star systems. Engineer Flick's quickwire scuttled between the control panels, his 6 arms working furiously at different stations. The diminutive Tinker's mechanical implants whirred as he processed the data. "Ma'am, I'm reading massive power signatures from that hulk. It's not dead, it's sleeping." The object of their attention stretched across the void like a metal mountain. The human dreadnought, Eternal Vengeance, measured nearly 50 kilometers from bow to stern, its black hull absorbing light, like a hungry void. Weapon ports dotted its surface like the eyes of some ancient predator, and massive engine arrays at its rear suggested power beyond imagination. "The humans built this?" Vex asked, though his question was rhetorical. The angular, aggressive design was unmistakably human in origin. Kira's research had made her something of an expert on the extinct species. The humans disappeared 3 centuries ago during the Great Silence. Every colony, every ship, every trace of them simply vanished overnight. This might be the only intact human vessel left in the galaxy. Flix's excitement was palpable as his sensors probed deeper. "Captain, I'm detecting massive databanks, weapon systems beyond our current technology, and..." He paused, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Life support systems that are still active." "Active?" Vex's tusks clicked together nervously. "You mean there might be survivors?" "The readings are faint, but yes. Cryogenic systems showing minimal power draw. Someone's in there and they're still alive." Kira felt a chill run through her crystalline form. The humans had been the galaxy's apex predators before their disappearance. They were known for their incredible adaptability, their refusal to surrender, and their terrifying capacity for both creation and destruction. The other species had formed the Galactic Coalition partly in response to human expansion. "We should report this to the Coalition Authority," she said carefully. "This discovery could change everything we know about human technology." Vex's laugh was like boulders grinding together. "And let those bureaucrats claim the salvage rights? Not a chance. This ship could make us rich beyond imagination. Think of the technology, the weapon systems, the historical value alone." "Captain," Flix interrupted, "I'm detecting movement inside the ship. Something's responding to our scans." Deep within the Eternal Vengeance, systems that had slumbered for centuries began to stir. Emergency power flowed through forgotten circuits and ancient processors came online with the whisper of awakening giants. In the ship's central core, an artificial intelligence called Phoenix initiated its first diagnostic cycle in 300 years. "Unknown vessels detected," Phoenix announced to the empty bridge, its voice echoing through corridors where only shadows dwelt. "Scanning. Non-human signatures identified. Threat assessment. Unknown. Initiating defensive protocols." The salvage ship shuddered as tractor beams locked onto their hull. "Captain," Flick shouted, "we're caught. The ship's pulling us in." Vex grabbed the control yoke, his massive hands straining against the invisible force. "All engines full reverse. Break us free." "It's no use," the engineer reported, sweat beading on his scaled forehead. "Their tractor beams are more powerful than our entire engine output. We're being drawn toward a docking bay." Kira watched in fascination and terror as the Eternal Vengeance grew larger in their viewport. The ship's surface was covered in scars from ancient battles, but its structure remained intact. As they were pulled into a massive hangar bay, Lights began to flicker on throughout the human vessel. "Look," she breathed, pointing to the hangar's interior. "It's awakening." The docking bay was vast enough to hold their entire ship with room for dozens more. Ancient human fighters hung from ceiling mounts like sleeping bats, while maintenance robots emerged from hidden alcoves to secure their vessel. The technology was old but functional, moving with a precision that spoke of superior engineering. As the scrap hunter settled onto the deck, atmosphere began to flood the hangar. Flix checked his readings with growing amazement. Perfect atmospheric composition for all our species. Temperature optimal. It's like the ship knows exactly what we need to survive. "That's impossible," Vex muttered, but his voice lacked conviction. Through the ship's communication system, a new voice reached them. It was calm, measured, and unmistakably artificial, yet it carried an undertone of something that might have been loneliness. "Welcome aboard the UES Eternal Vengeance," Phoenix said. "You are the first visitors we have received in 312 years, 7 months, and 15 days. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." Kira stepped forward, her diplomatic training taking over. "I am Dr. Kira Nexus of the Zephyrian Science Consortium. We're a salvage and research team. We thought this ship was derelict." "Derelict?" There was something almost like amusement in the AI's voice. "The Eternal Vengeance has never been derelict, Dr. Nexus. We have been waiting." "Waiting for what?" Vex demanded. "For orders. For our crew to awaken. For the enemy to return." Phoenix paused. "Or for someone worthy to take command." As if summoned by the AI's words, blast doors throughout the ship began to cycle open. In the deepest levels of the vessel, cryogenic pods that had maintained their precious cargo for 3 centuries began to warm. Within the primary pod, a man's eyes flickered beneath closed lids. Captain Joran Blackwood had been humanity's youngest fleet commander, a tactical genius who had never lost a battle. His ship had been humanity's last hope, loaded with weapons that could crack planets and technology that defied understanding. When the Great Silence came, he had ordered his crew into cryosleep and set course for the Void Sector, hoping to wait out whatever catastrophe had befallen his species. Now, as his body slowly warmed and his mind cleared the fog of centuries, he began to process the voices echoing through his ship's corridors. Alien voices. The enemy had found him at last. "Phoenix," he whispered, his voice barely audible as the cryogel drained from his pod. "Status report. Captain Blackwood," the AI responded with something approaching joy. "Welcome back, sir. We have visitors aboard. 3 alien species, apparently, conducting salvage operations. They appear to be unaware of our full capabilities." Blackwood's eyes opened fully, burning with the cold fire that had made him legendary among his own kind and feared among his enemies. He had been humanity's sword and shield, their final gambit against extinction. Now he was awake, and he was, not alone on his ship. "Are we still combat capable?" he asked, sitting up slowly as feeling returned to his limbs. "All primary systems operational, Captain. Weapons charged and ready. We could eliminate these intruders within seconds." But as Blackwood listened to the voices of his uninvited guests, he heard something unexpected. The Zephyrian scientist spoke with genuine curiosity rather than malice. Her questions about human technology came from academic interest, not military intelligence gathering. Perhaps the galaxy had changed in 3 centuries. Perhaps not all aliens were his enemies. "Hold all weapons," he commanded, standing on unsteady legs. "Let's see what these visitors want, and Phoenix, begin revival protocols for the rest of the crew. Slowly. We don't want to alarm our guests." "Acknowledged, Captain. Shall I inform them of your awakening?" Blackwood considered this as he moved toward his quarters to find a uniform that hadn't been worn in 300 years. "Not yet. Let them explore a little. Let them think they're safe. I want to see what they're really made of before I decide whether they live or die." The fate of the galaxy's first contact in 3 centuries now rested in the hands of 3 alien salvagers and 1 very dangerous human who had been dreaming of vengeance for far too long. Captain Joran Blackwood moved through the corridors of his ship like a ghost returning to the land of the living. 300 years of cryosleep had left his muscles weak, but his mind remained sharp as a plasma blade. The uniform he wore was pristine, preserved by the ship's systems, bearing the insignia of the United Earth Fleet, a fleet that no longer existed. "Phoenix, where are our guests now?" he asked, his voice carrying the authority of a man who had commanded star fleets. "Before these aliens had even achieved spaceflight. The salvage team has split up, Captain," the AI reported through his personal communicator. "The Brutarian remains on their vessel, monitoring communications. The Tinker is examining our secondary power systems, and the Zephyrian scientist has entered the museum deck." Blackwood paused. The museum deck contained artifacts from humanity's greatest achievements and darkest hours. If anyone was going to understand what humans truly were, it would be there. On the museum deck, Dr. Kira Nexus moved through displays that chronicled humanity's rise from a single world to a galactic power. Her crystalline form reflected the soft lighting as she studied holographic records of human colonies, their art, their music, their literature. But it was the military displays that truly captured her attention. She stopped before a hologram showing the Battle of Kepler Station, where a single human cruiser had held off an entire Zarkonian fleet for 3 days, allowing civilian evacuations to complete. The tactical brilliance was undeniable, but what struck her most was the sacrifice involved. The human commander had stayed behind, ensuring his crew escaped before ramming his damaged ship into the enemy flagship. "Remarkable," she whispered, her melodic voice filled with awe. "Such dedication to protecting others. You find our history interesting, Dr. Nexus?" Kira spun around, her 4 legs carrying her in a graceful pirouette. Standing in the doorway was a human male, tall and lean, with dark hair streaked with premature gray and eyes the color of winter storms. Despite his obvious weakness from cryo-sleep, he carried himself with unmistakable command presence. You're human," she breathed, her skin cycling through colors that indicated surprise and wonder. "Captain Joran Blackwood, commander of this vessel," he said, stepping into the room. "And you are trespassing on a United Earth Fleet ship." Kira's diplomatic training kicked in immediately. "Captain, I apologize for the intrusion. We believe this ship to be derelict. I am Dr. Kira Nexus, and I mean no harm. Your species, your people, we thought they were extinct." Blackwood's expression didn't change. "Perhaps we are, perhaps I'm the last one left." He moved closer to the display she had been studying. "Tell me, Doctor, what has the galaxy been like without humans?" The question was loaded with dangerous implications, but Kira sensed genuine curiosity beneath the threat. "Peaceful, mostly. The Coalition maintains order between the species. There are conflicts, but nothing like the wars of expansion that marked the human era." "Wars of expansion?" Blackwood's voice carried a note of bitter amusement. "Is that what they're calling them now?" "We were fighting for our survival, Doctor. Every species in the galaxy had united against us. They called it the Great Alliance, but it was really an extermination campaign." Kira's skin shifted to deeper blues, indicating distress. Her research had never revealed this perspective. The historical records indicate that humans were aggressively expanding into established territories. "Because we were driven from our own," Blackwood interrupted. "Every time we tried to establish peaceful relations, we were met with hostility. The Drakmori destroyed our first colony ship. The hegemony enslaved our Mars expedition. The Zarkonian Empire bombed Earth's lunar cities. We fought because we had no choice." Meanwhile, in the engineering section, Flick's Quickwire was having discoveries of his own. The human technology was unlike anything in current galactic standards. Power conduits that channeled energy with 98% efficiency, weapons, systems that could theoretically punch through any known shielding, and manufacturing capabilities that defied modern understanding. "This is impossible," he muttered, his 6 arms working frantically to document what he was seeing. These power readings. No civilization should be capable of this level of energy manipulation. A new voice made him jump. "Impressive, isn't it?" Flick spun around to see a human female in a blue uniform, her red hair pulled back in a practical style. Despite her obvious recent awakening from cryo-sleep, Her green eyes were alert and calculating. "I'm Commander Rachel Voss, Chief Engineer of the Eternal Vengeance," she said, extending a hand in what Flix recognized as a human greeting gesture. "And you are examining my engine room without permission." I apologize," Flix stammered, his mechanical implants whirring nervously. "I'm Engineer Flix Quickwire. We thought the ship was abandoned." "Abandoned?" Rachel laughed, but there was no humor in it. "The Eternal Vengeance was never abandoned, little friend. We were just waiting for the right moment to wake up." Back on the salvage ship, Vex Thornspike was growing increasingly nervous. His attempts to contact the Coalition Authority had been blocked by some kind of interference. Worse, his sensors were detecting power signatures throughout the human ship that suggested it was far from dead. "Flix," he called over the communicator. "Kira, get back here now, something's wrong." But his transmission was intercepted by Phoenix, who rerouted it to Captain Blackwood's location. "Captain," the AI announced, "the Brutarian is attempting to contact external authorities. His message contains our coordinates and tactical assessments of our capabilities." Blackwood's expression hardened. "Jam all communications. Prepare defensive systems, but do not power weapons yet." In the museum, Kira noticed the change immediately as the ambient lighting shifted to a deeper hue. "Captain, what's happening?" "Your friend is trying to call for backup," Blackwood said coldly. "Which means you're not just innocent salvagers, are you, Doctor?" "No, you don't understand," Kira said urgently, her skin flashing rapid patterns of distress. "Vex is military, yes, but he's not hostile. The Coalition, they're not your enemies. The galaxy has changed." Blackwood studied her carefully. In his experience, aliens lied as easily as they breathed, but there was something about this Zephyrian that gave him pause. Her distress seemed genuine, and her interest in human culture appeared to come from scholarly curiosity rather than military intelligence. "Phoenix," he said quietly, "how many of our crew are revived?" 12 so far, Captain. All senior staff are now conscious and mobile. The rest can be awakened within 6 hours if necessary. 12 humans against 3 aliens seemed like good odds, but Blackwood had learned long ago that numbers meant nothing in space combat. If this was truly a trap, reinforcements could arrive at any moment. "Dr. Nexus," he said formally, "I'm going to offer you a choice. You and your companions can leave now, return to your coalition, and pretend you never found us. Or you can stay and help me understand what the galaxy has become in our absence." Kira's crystalline form shifted through a spectrum of colors as she processed the implications. "And if we choose to leave?" "Then you leave with the knowledge that humanity still exists, that we're still out here watching, waiting. And if we stay?" Blackwood's smile was cold as vacuum. "Then you become part of something larger. But understand, Doctor, if you stay, if you betray us, if you lead enemies to my ship, I will show you why the entire galaxy once trembled at the mention of human warships." The choice hung in the air between them like a sword ready to fall. In the distance, alarms began to sound as Phoenix detected incoming ships. Vex's distress beacon had been received before the jamming took effect. "Captain," Phoenix announced with deadly calm, "we have incoming vessels. 3 Coalition cruisers, ETA 47 minutes. Blackwood's eyes locked onto Kira's multifaceted gaze. "It seems, Doctor, that choice has been made for us. The question now is simple. Are you with us or against us?" As if summoned by his words, the rest of his senior staff began arriving at the museum deck. 12 of humanity's finest warriors, awakened from their 3-century slumber to face a galaxy that had moved on without them. The reunion between the living and the presumed dead was about to become a confrontation that would determine whether first contact would end in friendship or in fire. The ghost ship was fully awake now, and it was ready for war. The bridge of the Eternal Vengeance hummed with deadly energy as Captain Joran Blackwood took his place in the command chair for the first time in 3 centuries. Around him, his senior staff worked with the fluid precision of a well-oiled machine, their movements sharp despite the lingering effects of cryosleep. The view screen showed 3 Coalition cruisers approaching fast, their weapons already charging. Dr. Kira Nexus stood beside the captain's chair, her crystalline skin cycling through nervous patterns of blue and silver. She had made her choice, to stay and help bridge the gap between her people and humanity. But as she watched the approaching fleet, she wondered if she had chosen correctly. "Phoenix," Blackwood commanded. "Tactical assessment." "3 Coalition heavy cruisers, Captain," the AI responded with clinical precision. "CNS Harmony, CNS Unity, and CNS Progress. Combined firepower capable of reducing this vessel to scrap within 30 minutes of sustained bombardment. However, their shielding technology appears to be inferior to our standards from 3 centuries ago." Commander Rachel Voss looked up from her engineering station. "Captain, all primary systems are online. Weapons at full charge, shields at maximum efficiency. We could take them." "The question isn't whether we can take them," Blackwood said quietly, his eyes never leaving the approaching ships. "The question is whether we should." From the communication station, Lieutenant Commander Hayes spoke up. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the lead cruiser." "Put it through." The view screen flickered, revealing a stern-faced Vorthak admiral, his scaled features arranged in what humans had learned to recognize as extreme displeasure. Admiral Korath of the Coalition Defense Force had built his reputation hunting down rogue elements that threatened galactic peace. "Unknown vessel," Korath's voice rumbled through the bridge. "You are harboring stolen property and suspected criminals. Surrender the salvage team immediately and prepare to be boarded." Blackwood stood slowly, his winter storm eyes fixed on the alien commander. "Admiral Korath, I am Captain Joran Blackwood of the United Earth Fleet vessel Eternal Vengeance. The individuals aboard my ship are here of their own free will." The effect of his words was immediate. Korath's scaled features shifted through expressions of disbelief, recognition, and finally, fear. "Impossible. The humans are extinct. You're some kind of imposter." "I assure you, Admiral, I am very much alive, as are my crew, as is humanity itself." Behind Korath, Kira could see other bridge officers frantically checking databases, their movements becoming increasingly agitated as they confirmed what their sensors were telling them. This was indeed a human warship, fully operational and crewed. "Dr. Nexus," Korath called out, his voice taking on a note of desperation. "If you can hear this, know that the Coalition will not negotiate with terrorists or war criminals. We are prepared to use force." Blackwood gestured for Kira to respond. She stepped forward, her form shimmering as she made her decision final. "Admiral Korath," she said, her melodic voice carrying across the channel. "I am Dr. Kira Nexus, and I am here voluntarily. Captain Blackwood and his crew are not criminals. They are survivors of a war that the galaxy has forgotten the truth about." "Doctor, you are clearly under duress." "No," Kira interrupted, her skin flashing with determination. "I am under enlightenment. The historical records we've been taught are incomplete. Humanity didn't start the expansion wars. They were defending themselves from systematic extermination attempts." Korath's expression darkened. "Even if that were true, it doesn't matter now. This ship represents a threat to galactic peace. We cannot allow human military technology to fall into the wrong hands." "Whose hands would those be, Admiral?" Blackwood asked with dangerous calm. "Our own." From the tactical station, Commander Voss called out, "Captain, they're powering weapons. All 3 ships are targeting us." Blackwood nodded grimly. It seemed diplomacy was about to fail, just as it had 3 centuries ago. "All hands, battle stations, Phoenix, prepare defensive measures." But before anyone could act, Flick's quick wires voice came over the ship's communication system from the engineering deck. "Captain Blackwood, sir, please don't fight them. There has to be another way." The small tinker had been working alongside human engineers for the past hour, marveling at their technology and their willingness to share knowledge. His 6 arms gestured frantically as he spoke. "Your people, they're not monsters. You saved my homeworld's colonies from the Drac invasions 200 years before you disappeared. The Tinker Collective still honors the human engineers who died protecting our evacuation ships." A moment of stunned silence filled the bridge. Even Admiral Korath seemed taken aback by this revelation. "That's impossible," Korath said. "The records show no such engagement." "Because someone erased them. Blackwood said with sudden understanding. Someone wanted the galaxy to forget that humans ever helped anyone. Someone wanted us painted as pure aggressors to justify what they did to us. Kira's mind raced as pieces of a larger puzzle began to fall into place. Captain, what if the Great Silence wasn't an accident? What if someone deliberately eliminated human colonies to make sure no witnesses survived to contradict the official narrative? The view screen split to show Vex Thornspike aboard his salvage ship. The massive Brutarian looked uncomfortable, but determined. Dr. Nexus is right, he rumbled. My grandfather fought in the border wars. He told stories. Different stories than what's in the official records. He said human ships came to help when the hegemony attacked our mining stations. Admiral Korath's scaled features were cycling through colors that indicated deep distress. Even if all of this is true, my orders are clear. This ship cannot be allowed to leave. Then you'll have to destroy us, Blackwood said simply, because we will not surrender. The tension on the bridge was electric. 12 humans against 3 coalition cruisers. The odds were impossible, but every human on the bridge stood ready to fight. They had spent 3 centuries in cold sleep, dreaming of the day they might rejoin their species. They would not go quietly into extinction now. Wait, Kira said suddenly, her form brightening with inspiration. Admiral, what if there was another option? What if Captain Blackwood and his crew could prove their peaceful intentions? How? Korath demanded. Kira looked at Blackwood, her multifaceted eyes reflecting hope and determination. By helping us solve the greatest threat the galaxy faces today, the Void Plague. Blackwood frowned. I'm not familiar with that term. It appeared 50 years ago, Kira explained quickly. Entire star systems are being consumed by some kind of dark energy that turns matter into nothingness. The Coalition's best scientists can't even slow it down. But human technology, your ability to manipulate space-time itself, you might be the only ones who can stop it. Commander Voss looked up from her station. Captain, if they're describing what I think they are, it sounds like uncontrolled quantum decay. We developed countermeasures for that during the Hegemony War. Blackwood was quiet for a long moment, weighing options that could determine the fate of not just his crew, but the entire galaxy. Finally, he spoke. Admiral Korath, I propose a bargain. Give us safe passage to investigate this void plague. If we can help solve your crisis, then perhaps the galaxy might reconsider its opinion of humanity. And if you can't? Blackwood's smile was grim but honest. Then you'll have one last chance to finish what your predecessors started 300 years ago. Korath was silent for nearly a minute, clearly receiving orders from higher authority. When he finally spoke, his voice carried the weight of historic decision. Very well, Captain Blackwood. You have one chance to prove that humanity deserves a place in this galaxy. But know this, we will be watching. One hostile act, one sign of aggression, and we will respond with overwhelming force. Understood. Admiral, we ask for nothing more than the chance to prove that humans and aliens can work together for the greater good. As the Coalition ships powered down their weapons and took escort positions around the Eternal Vengeance, Kira moved closer to Blackwood. Her crystalline hand touched his arm gently. Thank you, she said softly, for choosing hope over vengeance. Blackwood looked down at her, seeing not an alien enemy but a brilliant scientist who had risked everything to give his species a second chance. Thank you, Dr. Nexus, for showing me that not all aliens are our enemies. As the combined fleet set course for the Void Plague's latest manifestation, Phoenix's voice carried across the bridge with something approaching wonder. Captain, I am detecting quantum signatures from the plague zone that match theoretical models from the Hegemony War archives. I believe we may indeed be able to help. Blackwood settled back into his command chair, feeling hope for the first time in 3 centuries. His ship had been humanity's doomsday weapon, designed to take their enemies down with them if necessary. But perhaps its true purpose was something else entirely, to serve as a bridge between the living and the presumed dead, between old hatreds and new possibilities. The ghost ship was no longer alone in the void. It had allies now, and perhaps if they succeeded in their mission, humanity might finally find the peace it had been denied for so long. The Doomsday weapon had become an instrument of salvation, and the last humans in the galaxy were no longer the last.